I've been a fan of the Rocky series for as long as I can remember, right? And so when my brother Shefiti told me, hey, you wanna go see Creed 3 today? I was more than excited because I can say, without a doubt for any other fans out there, this movie is well worth watching. It continues the legacy that Rocky left and it takes it into a new, different direction. So I'm not going to go into spoilers in this video. I just kind of want to share my experience with the movie and watching it with my brother over here. We got the seats all the way in the back, right? Giant screen and everything. And it was one of those, I think it was like AMC Dolby surround sound seats where when you're sitting down and things happen, it's really, loud. The whole seat is shaking. And then also the audience, right? The entire theater was packed. There were some toddlers in the crowd as well watching. There was one, like a baby or something. I swear to Jesus, throughout this entire movie, I don't know how long the movie was, but this toddler that was in the theater, it sounded like, they were choking on a hairball or something, like full on. And you can hear the parents like, shh, shh. It was kind of funny, I don't know. And so it's been a while since I've seen, the Rocky movies, but Creed 3 kind of took, if I remember correctly, what Rocky 3 did, right? Rocky is now kind of like, retired from his boxing days and he's trying to enjoy his wealth and become a businessman, and throughout the years, he hasn't been training, and then somebody else steps up, faces Rocky, and he has to fight his way back to reclaim the title as champion. And so Creed 3 kind of does that, not like exactly the same as Rocky 3, but it has very similar themes. And so Creed 3 basically focuses on Adonis Creed going back to his childhood and reconnecting with an old friend, the one that kind of showed him what boxing is about, right? And introduced him to this sport. And this old friend, he was the best in this entire town and he was ready to take on the world, right? But then something happened, the two of them parted ways, and yeah, ever since then, it's kind of like slowly ate away at him in the back of his mind. You kind of see Adonis kind of dealing with that, right? Like now that he's the best heavyweight boxing champion in the world, he has like a lot of money, he has a lot of success, a business too, right? Now that he's retired, he's got everything that he needs. But then he reconnects with this old friend and, he can't help but feel like as if he's to blame for what happened to his friend, right? And yeah, I'm not going to say any more than that. You'll have to watch the whole movie yourself if you want to learn about that story. It made me cry at certain sections, right? I was like pumped up at others. I had hairs, right, coming off of my like hand like this. Out of any Rocky movie, I think this one had me torn, right? On one hand, I want to root for Adonis Creed, right? The main character, like, yeah, make your father proud, Apollo. You know what I mean? But then on the other hand, you also want to root for his friend the entire time, right? You were done dirty. You deserve another chance, and this is your chance, so come on, take it. Like the underdog story is being retold again. That's kind of like the theme of the Rocky movies, right? They can retell the same, just use different characters and maybe settings and whatever, and it will still work. It's been like, what, 30 something years now since the original came out, and they're still making these? And it still works, right? Like, it's awesome. And yeah, the characters, top notch. The acting, very believable, right? Like, aside for that, I was fully like invested in the movie. Like I couldn't look away, right? Those fight scenes, I don't know how they do it. Like I literally have no idea how they record some of these scenes. The way you see the punches, right? Like in slow motion, hit the other opponent's body, and like the way their body like actually kind of reacts to it, right? Like the skin flaps kind of move, and I don't know if there's some CG in there or if it's just like, slow motion, but it's very realistic, right? And when you're sitting in these seats that have like these, speakers and craziness going on, you can feel that. Like you feel that hit, right? And then you hear the audience like, oh, ooh, oh. Like people in the audience are like clapping too. They're going crazy. Like it really feels like you're in the stadium. And not just in the stadium, but you're like in there, part of the fight at the same time. I couldn't look away. Shefiti was sitting right next to me and I wanted to tell him like, oh, did you see that? Did you see how crazy that was? But it was so loud we couldn't really, talk. And of course there was a montage, and I feel pumped. Like, as I was watching that, right? The actors training, it didn't even feel like it was acting. It just felt like, like they were actually training to fight for their lives. And it made me excited. It made me pumped up. I wanted to jump off of my seat and start running. Like I wanted to run full speed, get out of there, sprint. Like, that's how I felt from, you can really tell what the fighter, what the boxer was thinking, right? Like what he's seeing, when he's supposed to move, right? And when he's about to hit. Even though there was like an entire audience, right? Like this huge stadium, right? This boxing event, a lot of people, sounds everywhere, people screaming. That moment where it's just the two of them standing there fighting 1 versus 1, everything goes silence and it's just them kind of punching through their trauma and their past guilt and regret, right? It's powerful. It is very, very powerful, right? It just like I said, I was so pumped. I wanted to go running, but then at the same time there's parts where like I actually cried, right? Like it was so emotional that I cried, and I'm telling you, the acting was on another level, right? And then on the other side, I felt like I was getting punched myself. And it's like this entire movie is like a roller coaster. It takes you all over the place. And, I'll be honest, it's a little weird not seeing Sylvester Stallone playing as Rocky in a Rocky movie. I think he's been in every single one. He is mentioned throughout, right? And there's like a quote or two that Adonis says, but he kind of twists it into his own version, right? But aside from that, he's not really anywhere to be seen. I'm not sure why that decision was made. Even though Creed 1 and 2, like it was a spin-off story from Rocky, even though Sylvester Stallone was in those two movies, he wasn't really the main character. He was just kind of on the side. The main character was Adonis. And I don't think having Rocky in Creed 3 wouldn't have taken anything out of it. It still works though without him, but it would have been nice just to see him somewhere there, right? Just cheering on or anything. I don't know about Shefiti, but at least to me, it took me all over the place, and it has the spirit of the Rocky movies, right? Like, and the entire like Creed, trilogy now, it still has that same spirit that Rocky had all those years ago. And this movie, it has that. Like, it makes you feel, I don't know how to say it. Like, I feel powerful, right? Like, I feel like I want to get juiced, and I want to, it's very inspirational. If you're a Rocky fan, go watch it, right? Don't look at any spoilers. I think you'll be surprised. And I'm really glad that, we got to see it. Thank you, Chefy T. I watched Creed 2 many years ago on my own. Made a little video on that too. And then Creed 1, same story. Chefy T actually took me to the theater to watch it. And funny thing about that, I did not know it was, associated with the Rocky franchise, right? And so when I was sitting there in the theater watching the original, I don't know, it's kind of a cheesy story, but like seeing, Adrian's restaurant and then, like all these little Easter eggs before you finally see Sylvester Stallone. Like I was sitting there in the theater, I'm like, wait, what? This is Rocky? What is this? Every time I watch these movies, this one included, Creed 3, it makes me feel that, right? Like it gets, I don't know, it sounds weird, but like if I'm ever having a bad day, like I always try to make it a cheesy tradition to watch number 1 every single year, because it just gives me that motivation that, something that you just kind of need sometimes, right? And Creed 3 does that very well too. So with that said, I don't know if any of that made sense. I hope it did to you. If you watched, Creed or any of the Rocky movies, feel free to share in the comments. I wouldn't be surprised if they make a Creed 4 now, right? Maybe following Adonis's daughter, right? When she's older or something. If they do, I'm very excited to see where they take this, because if anything, Creed 3 proves that, this actor, director seems to kind of know what he's doing and where he wants to take this franchise. Good on him, because I really liked it. Rocky fans, rejoice! We got a new movie. That's awesome. It's crazy to, think that this series has been going on for so long now, right? Anyways, thanks for watching. Thank you, Patreons, for your support. And I'll see you all on another lovely video. Toodaloo!